राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की जय। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश वंदेहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च वंदेहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे साधु साधु प्रदाय नति नीचो चकार कारणम हरे कृष्णा. So how we are going to share this screen? Knowledge about Krishna or significance of the knowledge about Krishna. This is part of the proposed book project. Introductory part. So we will try to cover few topics from that, like benefits of knowing Krishna's supremacy, from where we can know Krishna, or what is the source of knowledge of Krishna, who can know Krishna and who cannot know Krishna, how we can know Krishna as he is, or understanding Krishna as he is, and considering Krishna's form to be material is how it is foolishness, and how to understand Krishna is not an ordinary person. Actually, this comes in understanding Krishna as he is actually. And can we know Krishna fully? Who knows Krishna fully? And Arjuna already had knowledge of Krishna. This is more or less based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. So here this topic of Arjuna has come. And those who don't know Krishna should not comment on Bhagavad Gita. These are some topics. These are introductory topics. Next, that Krishna is the object of the Vedas and all, it comes in the main part of that proposed book project. And then after that, towards the end, concluding words. In Sanskrit it is called as Upasamhara. So there I have some topics which I would like to cover. Only foolish consider Krishna to be an ordinary. So, and why foolish consider Krishna to be ordinary? And what will happen to those who consider Krishna to be ordinary? So we are terrorizing them, or in fact Krishna terrorizes in Bhagavad Gita. And how to deal with those who consider Krishna to be ordinary. This is on this. Hare Krishna. Okay. So coming to our first topic, benefits of knowing Krishna. Benefits of knowing Krishna's supremacy. Generally, in materialistic consciousness, we always calculate in terms of benefits and advantages. What I will get, what is the benefit of knowing Krishna? Or in other words, what is the benefit of doing devotional service to Krishna? So this is difference between our consciousness in the material world and materialistic, or difference between materialistic consciousness and consciousness of the devotees in Vrindavan. Also in between materialistic consciousness and devotee. Oh Krishna. Is there any way to stop this sound? So, anyway, in materialistic consciousness, there is materialistic consciousness and the consciousness of residents of Vrindavan, what we call as Brajabasis. And in between these two, there is Vaikuntha consciousness also, or those who are devotees of Lord Narayana, or the Narayana form of the Lord. So their consciousness is, these are three stages. In material consciousness, we are always calculating what is my benefit, what I will get by doing this, or by doing any activity or by any knowledge. So what are my benefits? Then in Vrindavan, the consciousness is that simply devotees want to love Krishna. They want to serve Krishna. They don't even know that He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or whether He is Supreme Personality of Godhead or not, it is not material for, it's not a deal for them. So they simply want to love Krishna, that's it. So they are simply attracted to Krishna. That is spontaneous devotional service, spontaneous attraction to Krishna. So that is a difference between materialistic consciousness. We always want to calculate in terms of, like I use this word deal. What is the deal? We want to make deal. But there in Vrindavan, devotees. But in between in Vaikuntha, in the abode of Narayana, Lord Narayana, so devotees also, they are not interested what is the benefit, their benefit, but they have knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme. Supreme. So we, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava, that Vaikuntha, that mood of Vaikuntha is, it is called as Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So this is little different than general Jnana Mishra Bhakti, which we speak about, Mishra Bhaktis, Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, Yoga Mishra, Asuri Bhava Mishra, Raja Tamo Guna Mishra Bhaktis, which are described in Bhagavatam and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Bhakti, means they are pure devotees, but they have knowledge that they have knowledge of Krishna's opulences, they have knowledge of Krishna's supremacy, His majesty. They are fully conscious about His energies, etc. Basically, they are conscious about His supremacy. But in Vrindavan, they are not conscious about His supremacy. They simply love Krishna, that's it. So they don't want anything else. Neither material, spiritual liberation, nothing they don't want. They are spontaneously attracted to Krishna. They do not know that Krishna is the Supreme. Now we Gaudiyas, what to speak of talking about benefits, material benefits. We don't want even Vaikuntha Bhakti, that Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So we simply want to attain that spontaneous devotional service, that Vraja Bhakti. So following in the footsteps of all these Vrajavasis. So that is called as Raga Marga. So this Raga Marga, and within this Raga Marga there is Vaidhi Sadhana and then there is Raganodaka Sadhana. We are in Vaidhi Sadhana level, and then there is at the stage of Asakti. Now we are struggling with Anarthas. Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivrati Nishta Ruchi Asakti. So when we come to Asakti stage, then that is 7th stage in Bhakti, then we come to the stage of Raganuga Sadhana. So Raganuga means Anuga. Anuga means follower. Follow whom he follows. So Ragatmika Bhaktas are there. Ragatmika Bhaktas are there, eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. Eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, not in Vaikuntha also. So they are called as Ragatmika Bhaktidas. And we follow in their footsteps and do bhakti. That is called as Raganuga Bhakti. So anyway, we are still in Vaidhi Sadhana, we are struggling with her. So therefore we should have knowledge about Krishna supremacy. Now presently in the material world we have forgotten Krishna, we have lost our relationship with Krishna, and so then in between we cultivate knowledge of Krishna. Then we come to spontaneous devotional service, or when we attain that Vraja Bhakti, then again we forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But in between we need to know knowledge about Krishna. So therefore, significance of knowledge about Krishna. Now before going to knowledge of Krishna, what is the benefits of knowing Krishna? So this knowledge, Rupa Goswami, he said that why we need this knowledge of Krishna? We can just do devotional service, bhakti. So we can just be engaged in bhakti. But any progressive path is always accompanied by knowledge. And if we want to make progress, we need knowledge. Progress means knowledge. Of course, nowadays progress word is so badly misused in the materialistic society. Development, progress, civilization, which are used in modern materialistic context, it is all nonsense. It's a propaganda. So it is a euphemistic stunt. So Rupa Goswami, he said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, until we establish our footing in bhakti very strongly, so we need knowledge. So this comes in that section of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu where there is Rupa Goswami describes relationship between bhakti and other spiritual practices. What is relationship between bhakti and vairagya? There Rupa Goswami taught yukta vairagya, how devotees should engage in yukta vairagya. Then he speaks about relationship of bhakti and followers, relationship of bhakti and with varnashrama. So like that, many topics he covered. So there he talks about relationship of bhakti with jnana also. What is the connection with jnana? So generally, jnanis, so they cultivate knowledge, especially the followers of Upanishads, Vedantis. So they cultivate, and there are many other Sankyayites, logicians, Nyayiks. So they all cultivate knowledge. They are called as rationalists, logicians, rational Nyayiks. So they cultivate knowledge, and they are studying the components of the material world. Sankyayites, they study components of the material world. And Nyayiks logically try to understand. Basically, they are more of epistemological in nature. Then Vedantists, they are trying to differentiate between what is Brahma and what is not Brahma. So what is spiritual, what is not spiritual. So in this way, there are different groups of seekers of knowledge, and we are devotees. But until we establish our footing in bhakti strongly, we need also knowledge. And like yesterday I mentioned, in yesterday's class I was talking, I said to here that so some Vaishnava schools, or more or less most of the Vaishnava schools, whenever we speak about jnana, they immediately distance themselves from that. So jnana means we are devotees, we have nothing to do with jnana. Although prominent acharyas in all the Vaishnava schools, they have done so much scholarly work. They have written so many books, unlimited number of scholarship. Yesterday informally we were also discussing that. I think if you compare with any other schools, whether Mayavadis or other Vedic followers, Sankyayites, Nyayiks, etc., I think Vaishnavas, they have done highest literary contribution. And there has been generation after generation till today, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, there are still Gurukulas among the Vaishnava schools where children are taught the Vaishnava Siddhantas. So sometime immediately there is some kind of antipathy towards jnana. So we are devotees and we just have to just focus on devotional service to Krishna. So that's not bad thing, but Rupa Goswami says that until we establish our footing in Krishna consciousness, we also need knowledge. But this knowledge is not the knowledge like the way the Vedanta, so-called Advaita Mayavadis and other schools, they cultivate. The dry, logical stuff, or which ends in jnana. Jnana Mishra Bhakti means what it is? That bhakti which ends in impersonal conclusion, non-devotional conclusions. So that is called as means that is a mixture, that is jnana. And if you mix that with bhakti, then it becomes jnana Mishra Bhakti. Now, how we cultivate knowledge also and simultaneously be pure devotees. So our philosophical pursuits should not cover our devotional spirit. That is a principle. So our philosophical pursuits should not cover our devotional spirit. So This we have to always keep in mind. That is one side, and other side we always need knowledge. So Prabhupada in that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Siddhanta boliya na kara alas ya haite Krishna lage sadrida manas. Don't be lazy in Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Just in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is second chapter, 117 verse. Adi Leela, second chapter, 117 verse. Rupa Goswami, he said, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he said that those who are lazy in understanding Krishna, or he says, don't be lazy in understanding Krishna. He gives advice or instruction. So knowledge about Krishna attaches our mind to Krishna. Siddhanta boliyana Krishna lage sadrida manas. And in the purport Prabhupada, some Sahajiyas say we should not read books. That is Jnani. So Jnanis read books. We should just do service or bhajan, like that they say. So Prabhupada, especially he says in that purport that some Sahajiyas says we should not read the books of Jiva Goswami, like that. So maybe deliberately, why? Because Jiva Goswami, he was into philosophical exposition. Like within our sampradaya there are different acharyas. Some acharyas, they emphasized, they wrote books, but it was written in the mostly their analysis about rasa tattva, rasa vichara, the higher levels of bhakti. Of course that is also knowledge, but Jiva Goswami was into comparative philosophical analysis. So what is, all this difference between Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishta, Advaita, atheism and all this kind of things. So that is one speciality of Jiva. So Prabhupada specifically he mentioned that some Sahajiya says we should not read books of Jiva Goswami. Then there are other, so like that. So here something is coming to mind is that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he went to, I think in 1932, first time he went to, with his disciples, lots of disciples he went to. I'm not sure whether it is 30 or 32, somewhere around that. Definitely he went to 1932. Prabhupada also went and met him there. But first time when it was, maybe it was 30, I think. He went with his disciples to Vrindavan. And before he reached Vrindavan, the news spread that great Acharya is coming. And he was supposed to give lectures in Radha Kunda, etc. And so many Babajis assembled there thinking he is a great Acharya. And he is going to speak a lot of rasa tattva, rasa vichara. Then Saraswati Thakur spoke on Upanishads there. Deliberately he spoke on Upanishads. Means just it's not that he thought that because these people are unfit for hearing rasa vichara. So deliberately he spoke on Upanishads. And those Babajis got upset. He thought, oh, he is not even a devotee, he is a jnani, and left from hearing from him. So in this way, we need knowledge, but it should not end up in impersonal conclusions. And it should not cover our devotional practice. Anyway, so we are discussing benefits of knowing Krishna. So first point is, knowledge of Krishna is all encompassing. What we mean by knowledge of Krishna is all encompassing. If we know Krishna, everything knowable becomes known. Or by knowing Krishna, one acquires all required knowledge. So here some specifications are there. Before we go, why we need knowledge? Of course, I spoke relation between bhakti and knowledge till now. But intrinsically, if you see now, by knowing Krishna, we will come to know many things or everything knowable. So why we need to know at all? That question may arise. Okay, here we are saying no benefits of knowing Krishna. By knowing Krishna, we will know everything. But why we need to know at all anything actually? So yesterday we saw in Brihad Bhagavatamritam that how knowledge and happiness they go together. In Bhagavad Gita, I quoted Bhagavad Gita. The symptoms of Satoguna is knowledge and happiness, jnana and sukha. Anyway, we all want to become happy. That is one thing. And for happiness, we need knowledge. Knowledge leads to happiness. That's why these are two prominent symptoms of person in Satoguna. Knowledge and happiness. Jnana sangena sukha sangena badnati, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The person in mode of goodness is bound by knowledge and happiness. That means knowledge leads to. Anyway, Prabhupada has made that. In 4th chapter, towards the end, Krishna speaks about the glories of knowledge. How this knowledge is a boat to cross over the ocean of material existence. It acts like a fire to burn all the karmic reactions. So, and Prabhupada in that purport, knowledge leads to liberation and ignorance leads to bondage. And I often say that knowledge leads to suffering and bondage, and ignorance leads to, so knowledge leads to happiness and liberation, and suffering leads to ignorance leads to suffering and bondage. So anyway, coming back to, and this is one thing, if we want happiness, we need knowledge. And second thing is, knowledge is intrinsic to living entity actually. So we are, by nature, we are seekers of knowledge. We are curious to know, unless one is a damn fool like stone, or trees. So we are always curious to know things. There is a saying also. Sometimes this curiosity becomes adversity. Curiosity kills the cat. Some saying is there in English like that. So one way it has become adversity to all the living entities in this world is that out of curiosity they came to material world. People, sometimes when devotees, when people come to Krishna conscious, study Krishna conscious philosophy, one question which always haunts through them, why we came to this material world at all? The biggest question in present ISKCON. Why we came to this material? Why we left Krishna, such pure world, where there should be spontaneous attraction? How can we become attracted to this material world? One of my answer to that is curiosity. We just want to, because we are knowledge seeking, and we are not all knowledgeable. Krishna is all knowledgeable, but we have that that quality of Krishna in minute quantity. Satchidananda, Krishna is Satchidananda, and we are also Satchidananda. Chit means knowledge seeking. So out of curiosity we want to explore, we want to know. We come to material world, and once we come to material world, then we will forget because of our another quality of being tatastha. So anyway, so here the point is, by knowledge of Krishna is all encompassing. By knowing Krishna, we will know everything. Of course, we can't know everything, know Krishna fully, therefore we can't know everything. Therefore, it is said that that is also saying we can know something about everything and everything about something. So because only Krishna is all knowing. So therefore here the title is, if we know Krishna, it is that knowledge of Krishna is all encompassing. That is qualified with further words here. If we know Krishna, everything knowable becomes known, and by knowing Krishna one acquires all required knowledge. Everything knowable becomes known, or required knowledge, or necessary knowledge. What is that means? Like once one hippie asked Srila Prabhupada, if you say Guru is perfect, then or he has perfect knowledge, then how many windows are there in what that building is? Empire State Building, which collapsed. Or it is conspiracy theorists, they say that Americans themselves, Bush himself, that was Bush Jr., right? So he himself conspired it to be demolished. Because every president has to do some drama, otherwise there will be civil wars within the country. Anyway, that's conspiracy theories. There are so many conspiracy theories. So Prabhupada then he said, how many atoms are there in the snow? In other words, it's one we can know many from what Prabhupada meant is mysterious too, but we can try to understand. One thing is that it's immaterial to discuss about how many windows are there in Empire State Building, and other thing is that we can't know everything. We are not Krishna. That is one thing we should also remember. Generally in Vedic culture, the knowledge would begin with this point of humility, that we can't know everything. We are minute. So anyway, by knowing Krishna, everything knowable becomes known. Krishna is all encompassing. He is all knowledgeable. He is the highest authority on knowledge. Why is he so? So that can be understood in different ways, of course. So Krishna is one way to understand. Veda is knowledge, and Veda is another form of Krishna. So, and if you know Krishna, and Veda is also Kalpataru, it is called as desire fulfilling tree. Nigama Kalpataru, it is said. So everything we will come to know. Everything what we can know, I mean to say, when I say everything. So therefore, if you know Krishna, it's as good as knowing Vedas. Vedasya sarve rahameva vedyo. So Krishna is like Kalpataru, in other words. So in this way, we will know everything. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself, he says, Jnanam teham sabidjnanam idam vaksham asheshata yajñātva neha bhuyonyād jñātavyam avashishyate, he says. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain shall remain for you to know. So like that Krishna says. So commentators on this verse, Jnanam teham savidjnanam. If you see what follows in, what is jnana and vijnana here actually? Prabhupada has translated it as phenomenal or numinous. So what is actually jnana and vijnana? If you see this 7th chapter, what is there in 7th chapter? It's mostly, actually Prabhupada gave the title as knowledge of the absolute. So knowledge of the absolute, that is the English title of Srila Prabhupada. So basically jnana and vijnana is there. So what is this jnana and vijnana? So our acharyas have commented that Jnana and Vijnana means, Jnana means knowledge of Krishna's opulences, and Vijnana means Krishna's sweetness. So knowledge of Krishna's sweetness. So that is, if you see in the 7th chapter, it's mostly knowledge of opulences. Of course, if you go deeply into it, you will come to know sweetness also, Krishna's sweetness. And Krishna is sweet. So this is Jnana and Vijnana. So idam vaksham asheshataha. So asheshata, in full I will explain to you. Yajñātva neha bhuyonya jñātavyam avashishyate. After knowing this, there nothing remains to be known. So he says, this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So you don't need to do anything. You have to just know 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That's all. Nothing else you have to know. So sometime our preachers, sometimes they struggle, oh, what I shall give class and all. Everything is there in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You don't need to go to any universities, you don't need to go to have a big degree or anything. You just have to know 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Knowing that, everything to be known becomes known. That's it. We don't need anything else. Of course, can we know 7th chapter? Krishna will reveal to us the more we are sincerely try to know Krishna in a devotional spirit. So purport Prabhupada, I am not reading the complete purport here. Select relevant to our topic here. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object of meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, very famously Prabhupada wrote, it may not be so famous, but very intelligently, succinctly. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.3 says, Kasmin wo bhagavo vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavatiti. Now actually this verse from Mundaka Upanishad, it is in the form of question actually. This question was asked by Shaunaka to Angirasa Muni. So Angirasa is speaker in Mundaka Upanishad, and Shaunaka, we all know about Shaunaka Rishi. His name comes in all Puranas, Mahabharata, etc. So Bhagavatam was spoken to him and his associate sages in Naimisharanya. So he asked this question, you tell me about something, or you tell me about that, by knowing which nothing remains to be known, or everything knowable becomes known. So kasmin vo bhagavo vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavatiti. So actually this Mundaka Upanishad, Brahma spoke it to Angira, Angira spoke it to son of Bharadvaja, Satyavaha, and then Satyavaha spoke it to Angirasa. There are Angira Muni is different and Angirasa. Angira is actually son of Brahma. He is the eldest son of Brahma. Generally in Bhagavatam we see that 4 Kumaras appeared first, then Lord Shiva appeared. But within Bhagavatam there are different creations. Recently we read here in 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, 11th chapter. So how in different kalpas, so again and again Brahma creates. And every time 4 Kumaras would not be the eldest sons. Here Angira is considered as the eldest son. In Mundaka Upanishad it comes like that. So in different creations, in different kalpas, Brahma, different sons appear as eldest, youngest, etc. So Angira was Brahma's son in Vaivasvata, and in Vaivasvata Manvantara he spoke this Mundaka Upanishad to him. So it is in the form of question. By knowing what, so one will know everything. Sarvam idam vigyatam bhavatiti. So in answer to this Angirasa Muni, in answer to this question by Shaunaka, Angirasa Muni, so he speaks there are two kinds of vidyas, Paravidya and Aparavidya. And Aparavidya consists of 4 Vedas and 6 Vedangas, Puranas, Dharma Shastras and Mimamsa. So Nyaya Shastra, Nyaya. How many are over? So Puranas, Dharma Shastras, Mimamsa and Nyaya Shastras. So 4 plus 6 Vedangas, Vyakarna, Shiksha, Nirukta, Chanda, Kalpa and Jyotisha and Kalpa. So these are 6 and 4 Vedas. So of course commentators on Mundaka Upanishad, they say that even the Vedas also could be Paravidya if they are understood in in connection with Krishna. In connection with Krishna, because Krishna himself said that I am the goal of the Vedas. I am the purpose of the Vedas. Vedasya sarver ahameva vedyo. So, but if you see from external point of view, like Karma Mimamsakas, they understand Vedas as mundane, materialistic activities. Karma Mimamsakas believe that world is eternal, and we have to get a higher, better material life, that is to go to heavenly planets and enjoy life there. So for that Vedas are given. So Vedas are also eternal, and we have to do pious activities given in the Vedas, follow dharma strictly and go to heavenly planets and enjoy, or within this world, get a better life with all the comforts by performing all these sacrifices in the Vedas. So they study Vedas externally. They don't study Vedas the way Krishna says that. So we should try to understand Krishna from that. So anyway, this Aparavidya is there. Then Paravidya is to know the Brahman. And so gradually it comes to the conclusion that Brahman is Brahman is the reality, and by knowing him, so you will come to know everything like that. That is the answer to Shaunaka's question. So more or less it concludes in the first part. There are basically 3 khandas in Mundaka Upanishad, and within first khanda, and the first verse of the second khanda is I forgot that, it's a very small sutra kind of verse it is. Satyatasyaham, something like that. Satyatasyaham. Like we have this verse in Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdate. Tattva, that supreme absolute truth is Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, like that. So those who are knowers of Tattva, supreme absolute truth, they have called it as Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Or they are realized it in these three features. That is another way to understand that verse. So one meaning is they have called it as Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. In the Vedas, not every time Krishna word comes actually. Either mostly it is Brahma, so sometimes Paramatma, and rarely Bhagavan, and Krishna or Vishnu, rarely it comes. So very rare it is, because the mode of presentation is indirect in the Vedas. Aparokshvada it is called as. Anyway, coming back to the point is, are in the again Upanishads, Tattvamasi is there. Like that, Tattva comes. Satyam Tatsyaham. So in that commentary, Madhvacharya in his Mundaka Upanishad commentary says that Tat is Bhagavan, he says just. So here Prabhupada, when cause of all causes becomes known, when everything knowable becomes known, nothing remains unknown. He says, who is that cause of all causes? It is Krishna. So therefore, by knowing Krishna, we will come to know everything knowable. And so Prabhupada would often quote this verse from Mundaka Upanishad, and he would tell about himself that why we are able to challenge so many scientists, philosophers, scholars, etc. I am not an official scholar. Official scholar means official scientist or official philosopher, means one who undergoes proper academically trained. When Prabhupada says I am not an official scholar, means what? He is not an academically trained scholar or researcher or a writer or although we don't have to take the modern academia as authority, but they have some or other, they have established their monopoly that everyone should have academic degree to be a scholar in modern days. So which is not acceptable to the followers of Vedic culture. Vedic culture, we have in Vedic, we have our own system of scholarship. So anyway, Prabhupada said, I am not an official philosopher, scholar, scientist, but still I challenge them. Why? Because I know something about this one person, Krishna. I know something about this one person, Krishna. So we should try to read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is knowledge of Krishna. Prabhupada called it a Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha. There is Bhagavatam if you want to, for an advanced study. But Bhagavad Gita in itself is quite enough if you want to defend yourself from all the attacks of so-called academic scholars, or to protect your faith, or as Prabhupada mentioned in the beginning of Bhagavatam, those who study Bhagavatam, they themselves will become theists and they will be able to convince others to become theists. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita also. So when we study Bhagavad Gita, because it is knowledge about Krishna, Prabhupada called it as Krishna Katha. There is two Krishna Kathas. One is Bhagavad Gita, another one is Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. It is also Krishna Katha. And Bhagavatam is spoken about Krishna. In this way, there are two Krishna Kathas. Okay, so what I was speaking on. So knowledge about this is Krishna Katha. So when we when we study this, we ourselves will become theists and we will be able to convince others to become theists. So in this way, Prabhupada would quote this verse from Mundaka Upanishad. If one learns all numbers are digits, then he has studied the entire mathematics. Because mathematics means simply changing the places of these 10 figures. That's all. Similarly, if one simply studies Krishna, then all his knowledge is perfect. So Prabhupada said like this. This is from a lecture. Then in Bhagavad Gita lecture on 7.1. Oh, I have not shared it. It's not showing. Okay. Okay, here another quote is there. Then Krishna says that Jnanam teham sa vijnanam idam vaksham asheshataha. No, this knowledge of God is not a sentiment. It is a science. It is scientific. Nobody can deny it. We are not preaching any particular type of sentiment or any frog speculation. It is fact. How our relationship with Supreme Lord can develop, how we are related to Him, these things are fact on philosophical basis. Therefore, Krishna is assuring Arjuna that what I am saying to you is not a religious sentiment, but it is jnanam. So jnanam, it is practical knowledge. Jnanam means theoretical knowledge and vijnanam means practical knowledge. This is lecture in San Francisco which Srila Prabhupada said. So there is in 1974, there is a video recording of Srila Prabhupada. He is meeting with theologians. So there was one professor called Stilson Judah. He was very friendly to Krishna conscious movement devotees. And he met Srila Prabhupada and he liked Srila Prabhupada very much. He brought his colleagues, theologians, to meet Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada, the first question he asked to theologians is that, you are all theologians, then you should know God. Who is God, he asked. So then one of the theologians, he said that we are searching, he said. That means you are not theologians, you are theosophists, he said. Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada, he says, you don't know who is God and I am presenting God, why not accept it? So I am not presenting whimsically. So based on Vedic scriptures and based on all the authorities, Lord Chaitanya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Lord Chaitanya, our spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, long name he says, his Guru's name. Here is Guru Maharaj's name. So we are presenting Krishna very systematically, very philosophically, very scientifically. So why not accept it? So then Professor Judah said that because we are following certain pattern of life, it is very difficult to change you now. Most of them were old age, maybe in their 50s and 60s, maybe 60s. Many of them had bald heads, etc. But they were all university professors. So then Prabhupada, he said that if you don't want to change, that means you are not a serious student, you are not seriously searching for God. So point is, Prabhupada said, very logically he presented, you don't know God and I am presenting God, why not accept it? That was Prabhupada. So in this way, Prabhupada, this is one example I am giving, how Prabhupada would often meet scholars, professors, theologians, scientists, and he would debate with them, argue with them. And very convincingly he will make his propositions. Anyway, by knowing Krishna, so whatever knowable becomes known. Nothing remains unknown. Kindly remember this verse, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vaksham sheshata yajnatva neha bhuyanya jnatavyam avashishyate. Any issue? How long we can continue? So it is far away because of that sound issue is there. Okay, so coming next point is by knowledge of Krishna one attains freedom from material bondage and attains Krishna's abode. You all know the famous verse, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Those who know the secrets of my birth, my appearance and activities, leelas. So, tatvatah, in truth, properly, without any misconceptions. So, tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So, punarjanma naiti. One will not again come back to, again take birth in this world. So, he will come to me. So, that means basically attainment of Krishna and liberation from material bondage both happen simultaneously. So, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah. If you see in the purport Srila Prabhupada, he explains it's not so easy to become free from material bondage. It is very difficult, it is. So, Prabhupada he said that in this purport. But that is simply possible just by knowing Krishna in truth. Knowing Krishna in truth what? Okay, now sometimes devotees they can't understand this point. They say, okay, I know about Krishna now, Krishna is transcendental, like that. Knowing Krishna, Tattvata means what? So we should, knowing Krishna is not a small thing, first of all. So, we should know, recently I was just meditating on this point, that okay, now we came to know, we read Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada books, we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are taking initiation, everything is going on, connected with Krishna consciousness, our practices. So then I know Krishna now I should become free from material bondage. Or we may think that okay, this life, once this life is over, then I will go back to Godhead. But unless we know Krishna Tattvata, we will not go back to Godhead. So Tattvata knowing means complete science of Krishna. Of course, we can't know everything, but as far as possible. So we know we should know the science of Krishna. That Krishna, science of Krishna means what? Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. So Krishna has so many forms. Do we know Krishna's different expansions? Vaibhava Prakasha, Vaibhava Vilasa, Prakasha Vilasa, forms of the Lord. So many things are there. It's a deep science it is. Now Muslims, they say that God, if you want to discuss anything with the Muslims, why is like this, why is like that in the world, why is this? God is wise. Their answer to everything is God is wise. Or sometimes atheists, they blame religion that for everything you say God has created, God is the full stop like that. You people don't want to intellectually understand everything like that. So the criticism of one of the criticism of atheist is that religion makes religion makes or it hinders the development of intellect. So development of brain, like that they say. So therefore we don't want religion in the school or university, like that they say. So according to them, atheism is what is the most intelligent thing to do, and that is the answer to everything, which is nonsense, another nonsense it is. So of course in Krishna consciousness we are not the religion what they are thinking actually. So we are trying to know Krishna, Tattvata. Knowing Krishna is not a small thing, it is. What to speak of Krishna himself, even his Ekapada Vibhuti, this material creation is called as Ekapada Vibhuti. So Ekapada Vibhuti it is called as. It's just one insignificant portion of Krishna's creation. Even that to understand how 24 material elements they manifest and create, combine together and manifest into such a astounding creation, material creation. It's not a small thing to know actually. So that means creation at the level of 24 levels we have to study creation actually. So all this Sankhya philosophy is there. Anyway, knowing Krishna Tattvataha, Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Swarjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. So the impersonalists and yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many births. Even then the liberation they achieve merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to the material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord's, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material. So basically, Prabhupada, what he meant to say is that such liberation of the living entity from the material bondage is not at all easy. It is not easy. Krishna says, Mam Daivesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. It is not easy at all. We can't take it granted that, okay, we came to, we started chanting names of Krishna, that we are now liberated. We can't say like that. We have to fully surrender to Krishna. Mameva ye prapadyante. Or we should try to know Krishna in tattvataha, in truth. Therefore, knowledge of Krishna is important. So in Krishna book also, beginning of the Krishna book and the last chapter of the Krishna book, Prabhupada he says that. So attaining liberation from bondage of material world, material bondage is not at all easy, but those who read, hear, remember the pastimes of Krishna given in this book, Krishna book, they will attain liberation from material bondage. In the beginning also he says, and in the end also he says. So like that. Of course, here now Prabhupada, in the next part of the purport, Prabhupada he explains further how to know Krishna, Tattvataha, how he has many forms, many incarnations. We all should know them. Then only that is the meaning of knowing Krishna. So, how one Lord is performing many pastimes. Okay, we'll just pass through this, read through this. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Lord has many forms and incarnations. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same. Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction. Although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Radyantaratma, the one Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version Tattvamasi is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the Personality of Godhead. We have to go to Krishna and tell that you are Tattvamasi, you are that same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is suddenly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tameva viditvati mrityumeti nanya panta vidyate yanaya. This verse is again and quoted by Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, Shvetashvara Upanishad. Later it comes in that 7th chapter, 7.7 verse purport also, and many other places. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. That there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Person is surely in the mode of ignorance. Consequently, he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey by interpreting Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Now here the word Tattvata is important. So this is connected with some other, I will not read now here. So here another quote is there. Evam jnatva kratam karva purvairapi mumukshubhi kuru karmaiva tasmaton purvataram kratam. All the liberated souls in the ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. That means when we perform our prescribed duties, we should also cultivate knowledge of Krishna. Then what happens? We will also become liberated like the previous souls. Liberate. That is the point here, which Prabhupada makes. So this is just after 4.9. This is 4.14, I think. Yes, it should be 4.15, I think. Yeah. Evam jnatva kratam karva purvairapi mumukshubhi. Basically, with the knowledge of Krishna's supremacy, one should engage in prescribed duties. So like the way it was done by previous mumukshubhi. Those who are mumukshu. Mumukshu means those who are seekers of liberation actually. So mumukshubi is plural. So in this way, one will become free from material bondage by knowledge of Krishna. That is the benefit of knowing Krishna. Then, this is also somewhat connected with material bondage. More or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. This is a paraphrasing of that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhadra Bhadra. Dvaite Bhadra Bhadra. Ye Bhala Ye Manda. Ye Sab Brahma, like that. Chaitanya Charitamrita it says. We simply imagine it to be auspicious, Real auspicious depends on activities in Krishna consciousness, in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, are from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of Supreme Lord. Spiritual master, saintly persons and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from reactions of pious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of a devotee in performance of activities is actually that of renunciation. It is called as sannyas. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anashrita karma phalam, is the true renunciator. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi or yogi, and not the man who has simply taken dress of sannyasi or sudagi. Here one point is that Prabhupada, he spoke acting under the direction of the Lord. So, later it will become more clear in the 10.8 verse purport actually. 10.8 or that? 10.10. Dadami buddhi yogam tham yena mahamupayanti. Those who are devotees, Krishna gives them knowledge to come to him, come back to him. So there Prabhupada, he says, even if we don't have knowledge, if we are simply engaged in Krishna service under the guidance of spiritual master, or he even says to the point that one may have a bona fide spiritual master, but he may not take advantage of him. He may not take benefit of him. But still, if he is sincerely engaged in devotional service, one will come back to Krishna. So, yo mam ajam. But here the verse, he says that just by knowing Krishna as Ajam, Anadim and Loka Maheshwaram without any doubt, one will become free from all the sinful reactions and attain Krishna. That is a point. So next, why we should know Krishna? Why should have knowledge of Krishna or his supremacy? To engage or become fixed in unalloyed devotional service. Knowledge of Krishna is impetus for unalloyed devotional service. So this is a very nice verse Krishna spoke just before speaking his opulences in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This 10.7, this comes just before those Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 10.8 to 12 is considered as Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita in 4 verses. So Krishna has summarized whole Bhagavad Gita in that. And Prabhupada, he says in the 11th verse or 12th verse of that, after Arjuna, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction also he says, and in the 12th verse also he says, of 10th chapter, purport, Prabhupada, he says, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, actually, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said, Parabrahma, Parabdhama, Param. But that verse, Parabrahma, Paramdhama, comes in 10th chapter, which is just halfway through Bhagavad Gita actually. So still there are almost 9 chapters are there, because this is in the beginning of the 10th chapter. Half of Bhagavad Gita is yet to come. But still Prabhupada writes, after hearing Bhagavad Gita. Why after hearing Bhagavad Gita? Because Krishna spoke those 4 essential verses of Bhagavad Gita. And after hearing those 4 essentials of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna declared that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parabrahma, Paramdhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. So this verse comes just before that Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, why one should hear his vibhutis, his opulences, or he should have knowledge of his shaktis. Yetam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo vetti tatvatah so vikalpena yogena yujjate natra samshayaha. one who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages. So in the Purport Prabhupada he says, God is, people say God is great, but they don't know how God is great. By knowing God, greatness of the God, what happens? We become, here this verse, so vikalpena yogena yujjate natra samshayaha. So vikalpena yogena, we engage in unalloyed yoga. That means basically bhakti yoga, unalloyed devotional service. This is called so vikalpena yogena, means avyabhicharini bhakti, ananya bhakti, kevala bhakti, shuddha bhakti, or uttama bhakti. If we want to engage in uttama bhakti, we should know Krishna's opulence, greatness, right? Now we want to love Krishna, but we don't know about him. Like even in modern days, if somebody, man proposes to a girl, a boy proposes to a girl, I love you. If they don't know each other, they'll say, the girl may say that, oh, I don't know you, like that. Or at most they may say, I'll consider, let us know each other, let us know together each other. So this is a trend in modern society now actually. So generally, traditionally marriages used to be based on, they call as arranged marriage. Now modern day it is promoted, propaganda is going on in the society that arranged marriages are curse on society. But these nonsense people, they don't know, they don't know that with all their so-called, we are knowing each other, we are in relationship and we are trying to understand each other, which all their so-called grand arrangement of knowing each other, then also in the end they divorce each other. What happened to all that they are understanding each other before marriage? They call it as we are in relationship. We want to know each other. We are dating. Yeah, that dating is. So there are online dating sites. They have made apps and sites for all those things. So they come together there and they try to understand each other. Before marriage, you should understand each other. Traditionally, there was a proper, perfect system to for making that mutual matching system was there. So that matching system was what? Astrologically they will try to understand the gunas of boy and girl. There are two kinds of gunas, Daivi guna and Asuri gunas. If a man with Daivi guna is married with Asuri guna, woman with Asuri guna, or a man with Asuri guna is married with a woman of Daivi guna, then that marriage would be incompatible. It will not work. Then also often because of the culture, because of joint family system, they will fight among themselves, but still they would go on, because there was no concept of rights and the whole ethos of sense gratification, I scratch my back. It was considered as a sacred duty and responsibility. In modern days, everything right. Woman's right, human right, animal right, this right, that right. So Vedas and Vedic culture and dharma emphasizes on duty more than rights actually. Krishna uses the word right in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remembers which verse actually? Karmanyavadikarasya ma adhikara, that word comes there. What is your right? Your right is only on performing duty actually. That is how his definition of right actually. Not on the results. Sense gratification is not my right actually. And all the facilities in the world are meant for my enjoyment. That is the right. That's not the whole idea. Now the present idea of human rights is that everything in the world is meant for your enjoyment. Everything has to satisfy your ego. So then that clashes with animal rights. Okay, I want to cut the animals, slaughter animals and gobble them. and these rascals, they have their own ideas of morality, ethics, and nonsense. They will keep gobbling, slaughtering animals, and they will speak of morality and ethics. Anyway, it's a different topic. So, एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो व्यक्ति तत्व सो विकल्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशय. One who is factually convinced of this opulence of mystic powers, opulence, vibhuti, word has come. Yoga means mystic power. Yoga means it is Shakti actually. So, vibhutim yogam cha, mystic power of mind, engages in unalloyed devotional service. So, it's a very nice purport. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. You see here, this point. Highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced in different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Sometimes, you see, I explained that Abhideya comes after Sambandha Jnana. Sambandha Jnana means this knowledge of Supreme Personality, His opulences, etc. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. So, here the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme Lord, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. Next verse also says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt. He engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. So we'll stop here. We will continue the next in the tomorrow's session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Any questions and comments? की जय, संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.